This is an addition activity using a 10 frame, and in this one, the total here is always going to be 10. Don't reveal that to your child right away though, you want them to figure that out on their own. So here I have red apples and green apples. Red plus green equals total. So on the first one, I'm going to color 0 red apples. That means that I have to color the rest of them green. And I have 5, 10. Your child might count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The first time, if they do it the second time, ask them something like, hey, this is called a 10 frame, right? When a 10 frame is full, how many are in it? And the answer is, of course, 10. So 0 plus 10 equals the total, which is 10. And then you erase it, and you do it again. This time, I'll have 1 red apple. And then the rest of them are green. So I have 1 red, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 green. And then the total is, of course, 10. And you get the idea. So first one you do 0 red, second one you do 1 red, third one you do 2 red, color the rest green. So I have 8 and 2 equals 10. And you see the pattern there. The goal is for your child to see the pattern, that every time I add 1 red apple, I lose 1 green apple. Because as this number goes up, this number goes down so that it always equals 10. Here's one way you might be able to reveal that pattern to your child. So let's say they just did 3. They had 3 red apples, and then there's 7 green apples. And by the way, don't let them take so much time coloring, it'll lose the point of the activity. So little dots or lines are fine. So they have 3 and 7, and now they need 4 apples. So before they get their eraser out and erase everything, tell them, do you really have to erase everything? And the answer would be, of course, be no. So ask them, what do you need? What's it gonna look like next? How many red apples? So they have 3, and they're gonna tell you, next I'll have 4. So I'm just gonna erase this green and turn it red. Now I have 4 red. I had 7 green. Now I have 6 green. A modification to this activity would be to use scraps of paper instead of coloring in with marker, and that might be helpful if your kid is a perfectionist and they like to color in the lines all the way, which could take a long time. Instead, you could just put pieces of paper on top and then replace them with red as you go up. So right now I have 0 red. Now I want to have 1 red. So I don't have to take them all off, I just take off 1 and put 1 red. Now I want 2 red. So I take off a green and I have another red. Now I want 3 reds. And this is helpful because it shows the displacement very obviously. Like I had to displace these 3 green apples to make way for these 3 red apples, because if I didn't, they would not all fit. Another component you could add to this activity is to make a chart. So this would be like what you would present your child with red on top, greens in different column, and then total is the 3rd column. And you could fill in the reds from the beginning, from 0 to 10. I didn't have room, but it would go from 0 to 10, and leave the greens blank and leave the total blank. And as you go, or as your child goes, they will fill in numbers. So for the first one, it was 0 red plus 10 green equals 10 total apples. Or 1 red plus 9 green equals 10 total apples. And you would keep going. It's always going to equal 10 all the way down. And that's something that you want your child to notice. Don't actually point it out. Though you could ask them. You could say, what do you notice about the totals? And they would say, it's 10. Or it's always the same, or something like that. And then these ones are going to end up being 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then there would be 0. And another thing you want them to notice, besides that the total is always the same, you want your child to notice that reds count up from 0 to 10, and then the greens are counting down from 10 to 0. So every time you have more reds, you have fewer greens.